Before we start this video, I want to call out that about 94% of you who watch my videos aren't subscribed to my channel. Please subscribe to support me in making more videos. The tale begins with blood sliding from the boy's wounded arm as his trembling hand claws into the shattered ground. From the smoke, a dark silhouette emerges, a scarlet sword glowing with lethal fire. Above the ruins, destiny itself etches the truth that God has fallen. Humanity abandons the heavens to bow before gold, drowning in greed as countless bodies vanish beneath endless treasures. Their cries fade into nothing, smothered by glittering wealth, while through the ashes the armored figure advances, embodying the reflection of what mankind has become. They exalt twisted arcane craft until they reduce themselves to chains, yet one frail boy among them clutches a long sword, his shaking body forcing out defiant words, questioning the rulers on how any of this is fair. Facing a colossal and domineering figure, he leaps forward with a furious cry, demanding answers as the world erupts in an explosion. Thus begins the greatest apocalyptic fantasy, Arcane Soul. Kim Junsu, a 22-year-old college student, sits addicted to this game, his fingers racing across his tablet as he stares at his fallen character, whispering over and over how any of this is fair, how a poor free-to-play player like him is supposed to enjoy it. He suddenly finds himself before the massive in-game boss, laughing and mocking, remarking that Junsu did surprisingly well for a free player, but still failed, sneering that the fight had been on auto mode the entire time. Furious, Junsu shouts back, but the towering figure continues to laugh while striking him down, saying it was amusing and that no other free player has lasted so long. Grinding his teeth at the screen, Junsu erupts in frustration, shouting in the middle of the street, drawing people's stares, yelling how unfair it is to lose to a whale after wasting 10,000 hours. He rages that this isn't even gaming but gambling with overpowered characters, then sighs, tilting his face to his phone, admitting to himself he is the fool wasting time on something worthless, though still thinking of logging in to finish his dailies before returning to his homework. Branded a no-lifer, Junsu never skips those tasks, and when a free pull option appears, he mutters that it will likely bring yet another common warrior. But confusion strikes when a radiant treasure bursts open, revealing a platinum chest. His eyes widen, disbelief surging through him as he pulls an SSR, Heavenly Demon. He cannot grasp the situation when he actually pulls the Heavenly Demon, staring in disbelief until he realizes it truly is the ultimate character of the game, the very best, with a drop rate so impossibly low that the chance of obtaining it on a free pull is 0.0006%. Overwhelmed with joy, he begins jumping around in celebration, shouting proudly that he has secured the Heavenly Demon, before quickly opening his character list, declaring that it is time to raise him. He reminds himself that leveling in Arcane Soul works fastest by using previously trained characters as experience, and with a sly grin, he mutters that he no longer envies the mighty whales. Determined, he decides to sacrifice his loyal warrior Kim to empower the Heavenly Demon, piling them up until the Demon Lord's experience bar rises, waving a cheerful farewell to his warriors with a bright smile, proud to now be the rightful owner of a Heavenly Demon. As he walks down the street, however, he suddenly notices a speeding truck barreling toward him, panic flooding his body as his phone slips from his hand. Looking forward, he feels a chilling sense of familiarity, and in the next instant, darkness claims him. When he opens his eyes again, he finds himself lying in a hospital bed, confused, glancing at his hands and body as he struggles to understand what has happened. A sharp pain pierces his head, fragments of memory returning until the horrifying realization strikes: he was hit by a truck. At that moment, the door swings open and a nurse enters, calling him Warrior Kim, asking if he is awake. Bewildered, he stares at her, unable to comprehend why she addresses him as Warrior Kim. She promises to summon the doctor, yet his confusion only deepens when he notices the chart at his bedside, his name clearly written as Warrior Kim. His vision darkens in disbelief, muttering what kind of absurd mistake this could be. With a heavy sigh, he sits up, admitting to himself that perhaps this is punishment for sacrificing his warrior Kim for experience, but becoming that very warrior is beyond understanding. As he lowers his feet to the floor, a searing pain rips through his body, forcing him to clench his teeth before unleashing a scream that echoes through the hospital. The nurse rushes back in, shouting at him to stay still, but he cries out that the agony is unbearable and he feels like he is dying. A doctor soon enters, sternly explaining that he was struck by a truck and survived with fewer injuries than expected. Stunned by the revelation, he listens as the doctor continues, saying they must run further examinations, an MRI, as well as a magical vision test. The last words strike him like thunder, leaving him frozen, unable to process what he has just heard, unable to comprehend how magic could possibly be real, and still incapable of fully grasping what strange reality he has been thrown into. At the front desk, he discovers that the emergency room charges, along with facility fees, including CT scans, X-rays, and various other costs, altogether amount to 22,569 caramans. Shocked beyond belief, he panics, thinking that he has only stayed for 4 days, yet the bill has already reached an unimaginable figure. The front desk manager informs him sternly that since he has no insurance, he must bear the expense himself. Furious, he shouts at her, demanding to know why he has no insurance when every Korean is covered under national health insurance. However, the manager only looks at him with confusion, calmly stating that he possesses neither Legion insurance nor Magic Tower insurance, and asking if she is correct. His mind goes blank, unable to understand a single word of what she is saying, though faint recognition stirs within him. Struggling to remember, he realizes these terms belong to something familiar, but only after thinking longer does he connect them to the 4 great factions that dominate Seoul. With a shiver, the truth dawns upon him. It is exactly the setting of Arcane Seoul. In this world, abandoned by God, arcane science has advanced at terrifying speed, the corrupted earth crawling with monsters, while humanity survives only by altering their bodies. To put it simply, this is a reality where survival itself is brutal, and he curses his miserable fate, unable to believe that he has truly fallen inside it. Walking through the streets, he mutters bitterly that yesterday he had gone to bed overjoyed at pulling the heavenly demon, yet today he awakens as a tutorial character, perhaps divine punishment for sacrificing his warrior Kims. Entering a shabby jail-like apartment, he looks around in disbelief, realizing this room is even smaller than his former apartment, wondering why warrior Kim lived in such poverty. Sitting down in despair, he taunts himself, admitting that his body is weak, he has no money, and he has no idea how to survive such a situation. He still cannot fully comprehend whether this is truly Arcane Seoul, but if it is, then soon catastrophes like nuclear wars, dimensional rifts, or even the revival of ancient gods will unfold, turning this place into a living hell. Lying down, he mutters that he has no idea how he ended up here, but remaining idle will surely mean death, 100%. Suddenly, a thought flashes in his mind, and picking up a pencil, he lifts it into the air, muttering that he needs to confirm the truth before it is too late. His hands tremble as he stabs himself with the pencil, crying out in raw pain as blood pours from the wound. Yet within moments, to his shock, the injury begins to heal before his eyes. Staring at his hand in disbelief, he breaks into a grin, whispering with relief that he knew it would work. A glowing system window materializes before his eyes, declaring that he has obtained the trait of wound recovery. It explains that the reason he had been able to raise countless warrior Kims was because they were free tutorial characters, the only ones without any inherent base trait. Yet now, as warrior Kim himself, he realizes that traits can be unlocked and switched, giving him the ability to develop Kim with more freedom than any other character in existence. For someone like him, who always depended on clever strategies, warrior Kims had proven far more reliable than even high-rarity heroes, and that means the role he now inhabits holds incredible potential. The system further informs him that wound recovery has been activated, healing the injuries he has sustained up to this moment, and that he can gain any other trait so long as he strives for it. In the dangerous reality of Arcane Seoul, survival is merciless. One dies if they are weak, poor, or simply run out of luck. Yet he refuses to let that fate claim him, because unlike others, he possesses both a rare opportunity and the invaluable knowledge gathered from wasting 10,000 hours inside Arcane Seoul. Once just a free-to-play player who still managed to reach rank 9, he now resolves to use every bit of that experience to carve out a way to live. Walking into the talent inn, he approaches the desk of player personnel, where an attendant glances over his chart and questions if this is truly his first time visiting their office. Kim replies that he intends to join the mana purification business, silently groaning at the thought, knowing he must earn money quickly, even for a miserable gacha-like world such as this. With nothing to rely on but his own body, he accepts that this is the only path to earn significant money. Director Choi of Player Personnel leans back arrogantly, placing his shoes on the desk, and tells Kim that while the work may be called mana purification, does he really understand what dungeon clearing actually means? Kim answers that he does, but Choi laughs mockingly, pointing out that his resume tells a very different story. Kim only smirks because of course he knows just how dreadful the job truly is. Contaminated mana is the very cause of monsters overrunning Arcane Soul. Dungeon clearing, the act of eliminating trash that emits vast quantities of polluted mana, carries dire risks, as prolonged exposure often leads to death or twisted mutations, making the work brutally dangerous. Director Choi eventually says it is fine, and once enough people gather, Kim will be assigned to a team. Kim thanks him, though Choi continues pressing, asking if he is absolutely sure, since he has seen countless others lured by money only to return hollow and broken. Kim smirks again, telling him not to worry and boldly adding that he will probably perform better than Choi himself. Stunned by the audacity of those words, the director sits speechless, while Kim thinks grimly to himself that working as a free-to-play player is exactly his specialty, for he has 10,000 hours of experience. On the very first day, however, he is mocked by the labor leader known as Deer, who sneers and asks if he is really the worthless rookie joining their squad. Kim remains calm, simply stating that he came here because he was assigned to this team. The leader seizes him by the collar, grinding his teeth in anger, demanding if Kim thinks this place is a playground, and questioning the determination in his eyes. He warns Kim not to ever beg for mercy after mutating, because if Deer sees even a hint of him turning into a monster, he will personally kill him. Kim responds coolly that he will keep it in mind, recognizing that this is nothing more than the same intimidation tactics seen both in games and reality. Yet one thing unsettles him. The leader called Deer is actually an R-rank character, someone Kim recognizes from the game, but here his body looks unawakened, and his legs are still normal. Before the tension escalates, a man in a blue shirt rushes over, urging Deer to calm down, saying there is no need to treat the newcomer this way, especially since they are already short on workers. Since the team is already short on manpower, they desperately need all the help they can get. The man in the blue shirt introduces himself as Hedgehog, having 5 years of experience in dungeon cleaning. Yet Deer groans in annoyance, shaking his head and insisting that Kim will hardly be of use, muttering that he would be grateful if the rookie did not become a complete burden. With that, Deer turns away, addressing his squad with authority, ordering them to prepare since they have exactly 4 days to clear 5 contaminated sites, urging everyone to move quickly. The group responds with visible enthusiasm, their faces lit with determination. Kim, however, grinds his teeth in quiet anger, mocking Deer under his breath, thinking that the man is far harsher here than he ever appeared in the game. Hedgehog notices his frustration and steps closer, smiling warmly, advising Kim not to take Deer's attitude too seriously, reassuring him that although Deer is tough on the outside, deep down, he is a good person. Kim reluctantly nods in agreement, realizing Hedgehog's words might carry some truth. Soon after, the squad makes their way to Metropolitan No. 1, and they stand before a massive gate sealed with layers of strange, pulsating material, the ominous sight filling the air with tension. The entire squad instinctively covers their noses as a foul, rotten stench drifts from within. One of the men mutters that he will never get used to such a smell, while their leader Deer steps forward, announcing that he will open the doors and instructing everyone to prepare. The moment he presses the button, the gates creak open, and with a sharp order, He commands his squad to take their positions. Inside, slimy creatures writhe in the darkness, low-rank monsters known as contaminated slimes, and the instant they notice the humans, they leap aggressively toward the entrance. Kim remains at the back, recalling the fundamentals of purifying contaminated mana. These slimes may be weak in direct combat, but their real danger lies in their resilience, for they cannot be killed unless one locates and destroys the tiny mana core hidden somewhere within their gelatinous bodies. The leader roars at his squad to find the monster's mana cores, but panic spreads among the men as they shout in frustration, unsure how they are supposed to identify them. He warns that if they cannot eliminate the creatures quickly, exposure to contaminated mana will doom them all. Without hesitation, Kim dashes forward, determined to act. One of the squad members yells for him to fall back, but Kim ignores the warning, vaulting past the man with reckless resolve. With a shout, he drives his shovel deep into a slime's stomach, and at once a golden object gleams within the muck. He smirks, muttering that it is time to warm up before cutting down slime after slime. Moving in a swift zigzag rhythm, he dispatches nearly all of them with precise single strikes, leaving the others staring in disbelief. One whispers in shock that he is slaying every slime in one blow, unable to fathom how such a feat is even possible. But Kim only grins, his mind flashing back to 2 days earlier when he was crawling on the ground, searching desperately for something, bewildering passers-by as they watched his odd behavior. He had kept crawling until, at the edge of a park, his hand closed around a 501 coin. At that instant, a system window appeared, informing him that he had acquired a new trait, Treasure Hunt. Ecstatic, he leapt into the air, shouting with joy at obtaining what is considered the most valuable trait for Warrior Kim. Laughing and celebrating over the discovery of mere pocket change, he realized the significance. Before engaging in monster clearing, he had managed to acquire several crucial traits. Among them, contamination resistance had been the hardest to obtain, one he gained only after rummaging through dustbins for what felt like an eternity, yet it had become essential for survival. Acquiring traits works exactly as it does in the game. So long as certain conditions are fulfilled, they can be unlocked. Smiling faintly, Kim checks his system window, admiring the traits he has already earned. He remembers the second rule. A player can hold a total of 6 traits and freely switch between them at will. At present, he is using Treasure Hunt, which allows him to clearly see the slime's mana cores, and with that advantage, he suddenly lunges forward, striking the largest one. Deer shouts at the squad to shield themselves and avoid getting hit, while Kim emerges moments later, clothes dirtied but smirking with satisfaction, remarking that his hard work is finally paying off and that Warrior Kim's labor specialty truly shines. He has also activated contamination resistance, making him even more effective. Later, sitting inside the van, Kim exhales deeply, admitting to himself that even with the help of traits, working non-stop like this is exhausting. Hedgehog, cheerful and relieved, thanks him for letting them finish early, sitting beside him and confessing that just watching him was incredible. With a curious grin, Hedgehog asks if Kim is simply waiting for his awakening, like Deer. Kim hesitates, shaking his head, insisting that it is nothing of the sort. He only knows how to handle a shovel from his military service. Hedgehog remains impressed nonetheless, calling him amazing, while Kim studies him quietly, noticing the early signs of mutation spreading through his body. The man has clearly been exposed to contaminated mana far too often. Kim suggests he rest tomorrow, but Hedgehog refuses stubbornly, declaring that he would rather become a mutant than deal with a debt collector. Kim grimly admits to himself that such desperation makes sense, because no one would willingly take a job like this otherwise. 4 days later, Kim stands amidst piles of garbage, sighing that today's work is finally finished. Looking around, he sees the exhaustion etched across everyone's faces after days of monster clearing. Suddenly, retching sounds echo, and he turns to see Hedgehog vomiting violently. Kim's heart sinks. He remembers warning him not to push himself too far. Their leader Deer approaches Kim, noting his energy, asking if it is simply because he is young, and even admitting he never expected Kim to pull his own weight so well. Deer praises his work, but Kim modestly replies that it is thanks to everyone's effort, while secretly knowing the truth that the traits he has earned make the work almost effortless now. Studying Deer, he wonders if the man is merely enduring through sheer willpower, or if it is because he is truly an R rank. His gaze shifts back to Hedgehog, whose condition worsens. Two teammates notice something wrong with his spine, nervously asking if he is all right. Even Deer rushes forward, trying to hold him steady, urging him to stay awake and telling the others to get him out quickly. But in the next heartbeat, Hedgehog's teeth elongate into razor fangs, and a massive explosion bursts forth, flooding the area with choking smog. Kim covers his mouth immediately, sensing that something is terribly wrong. As the haze settles, the horrifying truth is revealed. Hedgehog has transformed into a towering mutant, bellowing a monstrous roar directly at Kim's face. Kim's eyes widen, realizing that his comrade has lost all trace of humanity, his sanity consumed. On the ground, Deer struggles, wounded, and Kim understands that unless they bring down this abomination, none of them will escape alive. But when he checks his status window, his stomach drops. All the traits he possesses are suited for monster cleaning, not battle. Grinding his teeth in frustration, he curses under his breath, thinking bitterly that in combat, they are utterly doomed. Holding a shovel in his hand, when suddenly Hedgehog attacks, striking him directly to the floor. Spitting blood, he realizes the power difference is too big and that he might die at this rate, when suddenly the system window appears, showing him the fact that he has obtained a new trait. He looks confused, when suddenly he realizes that he has traits, and it is still early to give up, because to survive he must think of how he can defeat this thing. Looking at his system, he realizes that he needs to delete some traits, realizing that strength, mana, heart, putting all his traits in the correct order. He wonders if he has put all of them in place, standing and looking at the mutant, asking him to come at him. Looking at Hedgehog approaching, he activates the strength trait to amplify his power by tenfold. Looking at Hedgehog, he raises his shovel, thinking that it is working and he can do it, but suddenly, Hedgehog changes his shape, coming back to the ground, rolling towards him and knocking him off track. Our guy freaks out, his mouth wide open, when suddenly Hedgehog jumps in the air and smashes directly onto Kim on the floor. But for our guy, he safely dodges the attack and jumps in the air. Looking at Kim, Hedgehog gets angry. Kim had activated the endurance trait, which amplifies defense by over tenfold. Being above Hedgehog, he mentions that even with endurance, it still hurts like hell, but if he stops now, he will die. So he punches Hedgehog, mentioning he has no choice but to keep attacking. But suddenly Hedgehog attacks him with his nails, striking him to the ground. Kim is trying his best to calm himself, thinking he has to hold on just for a little more, and suddenly he charges towards the monster. Suddenly his hand looks crippled. His hands were lost as Hedgehog attacks him continuously. Looking at himself, he realizes that he knows he cannot win with Kim the warrior, when suddenly Hedgehog makes a fist, giving his final blow to Kim. In the past, while playing the game, he used to be so excited, asking the monsters to come at him directly, thinking that he would just defeat them all with Warrior Kim. Thinking back, when he was playing the game, everything was so easy. All he needed was a single click to hunt down monsters, and he never thought about how the character would feel, because he simply pushed the character into extremities under the pretext of efficient training. But now he knows that it takes a friend to obtain a mediocre trait. Suddenly, he jumps out of Hedgehog's hands, breathing heavily, and the system window activates the mutant muscle. He realizes that there is no way he can win without paying any price, and in just one strike, he blows out the Hedgehog. Thinking the reason he went for reckless attacks was for the trait obtainable when suppressing the limit with mana, heart, and strength traits activated top 10, he obtains mutant muscle, and all that was to build up for this moment. And now he can dodge the attack with just his hand, punching the monster one by one. But for him that does not work anymore, and he shouts at the monster to hit him, because he dares him. But suddenly Hedgehog strikes him down to the ground, causing holes all over his body. Kim realizes that the Hedgehog was not using its full strength yet. He stands up on his feet again, as he has obtained the mutant body. He smirks while gazing at the mutant, thanking it for the assistance, because he has advanced even further thanks to that clash. And now they finally stand on equal footing. Meanwhile, Deer stirs awake, scanning his surroundings in confusion, unable to understand the strange noises around him, before freezing in shock as his eyes fall on warrior Kim battling the mutant. He cannot comprehend what Kim has become, appearing almost superhuman, something beyond ordinary comprehension, as if a man could truly fight evenly against a terrifying mutant. Once again, Kim is smashed down to the ground, gasping for breath, realizing this struggle is far from simple, his frame having expanded, his stature now almost equal to that creature's. Yet at this pace, he will only fall into disadvantage. Hedgehog lets out a thunderous roar, while Kim clenches his teeth in frustration, admitting to himself that it has turned too perilous. But he decides he has no alternative, so he rises once more, activating the trait Contamination Resistance, convincing himself that he must believe in his own endurance. He cries out for the system to delete, and suddenly Kim screams in agony, clutching his head as unbearable pain pierces through his skull, his voice echoing to the heavens before he unleashes a colossal crimson surge across the ground. Deer stares in horror at the sight, panicking, muttering in disbelief, wondering what that phenomenon could be, and as the thick smog slowly clears, his jaw drops open in dread, realizing that Kim has transformed into a mutant while fighting against one. For he cannot comprehend how such an impossible occurrence has taken place, the system announcing that the trait mutant warrior Kim has now been awakened. Looking at the chaos around him, Deer panics, thinking he must escape this place, and as he looks upward, his eyes catch a massive hand descending toward him. He closes his eyes, fearing this might be his end, but a second later, when he opens them, he sees Kim back in his normal human form, his hand poised above him. Deer stares, astonished, questioning silently if Kim has truly returned to being human. Suddenly, Kim collapses to the ground, relieved, recalling that corruption resistance had been his final line of defense. If he possessed both the mutant form and mutant muscles, and then deleted corruption resistance, he would become fully mutant. The common belief is that once someone turns into a mutant, there is no return, but Kim knows otherwise. He understands that as long as he retains even a fragment of rational thought, he can switch traits at will, which is exactly how he swapped mutant for corruption resistance. As he awakens, he feels every bone and muscle shifting painfully, vowing silently never to endure such a transformation again. Standing on trembling legs, he glances at the purple stone he has acquired, the level 1 mana core, and smirks, thinking it was all worth it. He leaps in exhilaration, shouting in happiness that he has obtained the level 1 mana core, marveling at how profitable this cleaning work has become. Deer approaches cautiously, asking if he is all right, remarking that he had seen Kim become a mutant and wanting to know what had occurred. Kim remains silent, knowing that any strange rumors might be troublesome, then rises with an excuse, claiming he had merely gambled on being able to revert back and was extraordinarily lucky. His leader frowns, confused, muttering that it seemed like far too much luck. Without another word, Kim hands over the golden mana to Deer, telling him to take it, and then instructs the others that it is time to return, adding that he needs some fresh air, even as the men continue to stare intently at the mana cores. Kim watches them thoughtfully, realizing that since he saved their lives and even distributed some mana cores, they will surely keep his secret safe. Deer, on the other hand, watches him with a wary, suspicious gaze. The scene then shifts to the Seonsu Force, where an elderly man approaches Kim, mentioning that he has heard of the hardships Kim endured, adding that it must have been incredibly difficult. Kim smiles faintly, admitting that it was indeed a bit of hard work, though he wonders internally why this man is suddenly giving him so much attention and importance. Choi steps forward, commenting that Kim should have informed them if he truly was a superhuman, because then they would have assigned him more significant work instead of tedious cleanup duties. Kim pauses, realizing that Choi might already consider him a superhuman, and he reflects on the world of Arcane Soul, where a superhuman awakening grants its bearer extraordinary abilities, including the capacity to obtain powerful mana. In a society where strength equals authority and dominance, superhumans are effectively treated like nobles. It finally makes sense to Kim that his victory over the mutant required him to be extraordinary, though he knows that his carefully acquired traits also played a decisive role in his survival and triumph. Choi casually places his hand in his pocket, mentioning that he should compensate Kim for the cleanup. Kim grins, thinking it would be amusing to let Choi continue believing he is a superhuman for the time being. Taking out a note, Choi explains that since Kim cleared 5 regions, they normally deduct a 20% fee from the total of 50 million won, which, divided among the group, would grant him 5 million won. But today they will do things differently. Slamming the notes onto the table, Choi announces that they will only take 5% from his share and provide a bonus. Kim's eyes gleam, dazzled by the prospect of 12 million won, while Choi adds that they look forward to working with him again. Smiling, Kim steps out of the room, closing the door behind him, and wonders to himself how best to spend this windfall. As he walks, a man approaches from behind, noticing Kim's cheerful expression, and comments that he must have been paid handsomely. Kim nods, smiling, assuming the man is one of his former teammates. The man groans, explaining that the reason he approached is to request a favor. His wife is sick, and he wonders if Kim could possibly lend him some money. Apologizing profusely for imposing after working together only once, he insists that he has no other choice. Kim hesitates, thinking it is unwise to help strangers in a world as dangerous as this, where loyalty is fragile and betrayal common. But seeing the man bow respectfully, Kim relents, offering his hand with a warning not to bow so deeply because of the man's age. He slips a few mana cores into his hand, noting that it is not much, but hoping it will help, feeling too guilty to refuse outright. As night falls, the man is seen clutching the mana cores, laughing heartily and calling Kim foolish, admitting that he had only pretended to be a poor elderly man to trick him into giving everything. Meanwhile, at a gathering with leader Deer, the man mentions that Kim would have given even more if he had claimed his child was sick as well. He grumbles that, annoyingly, Kim received a larger payment than the rest, and even obtained the fake superhuman portion of their share. Deer smirks knowingly, stating that he always suspected Kim is not truly a superhuman and that they should teach him a lesson. The man asks Deer if he has a plan, to which Deer replies with a sly grin, implying that the fool must possess some strange ability, and since they know his secret, it is time to show him the harsh realities of their frightening world. Enjoying himself in the 5-star hotel, Kim reclines while receiving a massage, thinking to himself that money truly is wonderful, and he never imagined he would live to see the day when he could enjoy such luxury in a place like this, which in some ways feels even better than the game itself. As the masseur gives him a gentle push, his muscles tremble, reminding him that despite having spent 3 entire days resting in this hotel, his body still aches from overexertion. He resolves that from now on, he must think twice before activating any mutant-related traits, realizing that changing traits is far less omnipotent than he once believed. His body adapts to the traits, and the severity of the side effects grows proportionally to the extent of the changes, posing a constant risk even as he learns to limit his usage. Gazing out the window, he notices a familiar presence, recognizing members of the Iron Fist gang roaming with their usual air of arrogance, and he recalls that Arcane Soul is dominated more by local gangs than by law, a natural consequence of the overwhelming monster presence, which forces people to depend on superhumans for protection. Reflecting on his survival so far, he admits that relying solely on his traits would have been foolish in such a dangerous environment. A sly smirk spreads across his face as he realizes that in the end, it all comes down to items, doesn't it? With that in mind, he heads to the Soul Misk store. The receptionist greets him, asking if he has come to sell anything, and he confirms that he has some byproducts from monster battles. The receptionist examines the materials, warning him in advance that they do not purchase any level 0 mana cores. Kim acknowledges this, placing the material carefully on the counter. The receptionist's eyes widen in shock as she exclaims that it is a level 2 mana core. Kim grins, inwardly laughing at her surprise, feeling satisfaction that the effort he spent grinding in his hotel room has finally paid off. He fused all his collected materials and, thankfully, produced a level 2 mana core, recognizing that its value varies by level and that selling it at the highest possible price is the correct approach. The receptionist hands him the bills, announcing that the core is worth 4.77 million won. Kim thanks her politely and inquires whether the store also sells weapons or armor. She confirms enthusiastically, inviting him to follow her inside. Walking into the store, Kim is astonished to see a complete assortment of equipment, realizing that the basic items he used in the game are all present here. She encourages him to take his time, and he laughs in delight, thinking that now it is the perfect moment to gear himself up. With renewed excitement, he fills his bag with weapons, laughing and singing to himself, feeling a sense of accomplishment as he secures his new arsenal for the challenges ahead. Kim feels as if he is truly immersed in Arcane Soul, the lines between game and reality blurring as he walks. Suddenly, someone calls out, and he turns to see a young woman questioning him, asking if by any chance he is a mercenary, explaining that she needs assistance. He hesitates, but she produces some bills, stating that she is on a business trip, though the Iron Fist gang has been intimidating her, and she requests that he protect her on the way to her lodging. Kim is taken aback at the sight of the 500,000 won she offers for a bodyguard, feeling that this resembles a daily quest in the game, and perhaps it is worth attempting since he is fully geared. He tells her he cannot ignore a woman in danger and asks if they should proceed. She thanks him warmly, and as they climb the stairs, he feels exhaustion creeping in, though she reassures him that they are almost there. Looking around, he is confused. The lodging is in a suspiciously dark, narrow alley, devoid of even a single person or creature. The girl turns a corner, further puzzling him, urging him to hurry, though he protests, stating it is too dark to see. Suddenly, his system window appears, informing him that he has obtained the trait Night Vision. He had not planned for this, yet it is now his. Just then, the girl draws a gun, aiming directly at him, remarking that he is far more cautious than she had anticipated. Kim is shocked, uncertain of her intentions, questioning silently if this is a trap. At that moment, Deer emerges from behind, smirking, asking where he is going, and adding that it is nice to see him again under these circumstances. Kim, surprised, demands to know what he has done to deserve this treatment. The leader answers calmly that it is because Kim simply appeared foolish, and there is no deeper reason. Without warning, Kim dodges the girl, pushing her to the ground and sprinting away. Deer shouts at him, complaining that he initiated a conversation only to run off, then orders the girl to shoot. The projectile hits Kim, knocking him to the ground. Deer panics, shouting that she was supposed to aim for his leg, not his torso. She counters that it is better than letting him escape entirely, though Deer argues that they would have profited more had they kept him alive. She reminds him that he has returned to human form after being a mutant, implying that some mage would be willing to buy his corpse. Despite this, Deer still disagrees, insisting that his value would have been higher alive, while the men suggest that they should at least loot his bag and equipment. Deer realizes that there is no other choice and orders his men to proceed with looting first, but as they glance ahead, they are stunned to see that Kim's body has vanished, and panic spreads through them instantly. Suddenly, something strikes one of the men from behind, and Deer's face pales as he shouts in disbelief, unable to accept that Kim might still be alive. Kim's eyes blaze yellow as he calmly affirms that Deer is correct. He is indeed alive. A smirk curves his lips as he declares that he cannot be defeated by someone who repays kindness with betrayal, noting with satisfaction that it was fortunate he had exited the store wearing a bulletproof vest. That careful foresight allowed him to acquire the trait he needed, playing dead. To heighten the chaos, he shatters a streetlight, plunging the area into darkness, leaving the men disoriented and unable to discern his location. In an instant, Kim appears behind Deer, gripping him firmly by the collar, his voice laced with icy authority as he reminds Deer that he had once saved his life, and now it is Kim's turn to take control. Deer curses him loudly, realizing fully that he has underestimated the cunning and resourcefulness of someone who has mastered both traits and strategy, unable to escape the swift reckoning that Kim delivers. Kim punches Deer, sending him crashing to the ground. Deer wipes the blood from his face, cursing him furiously, while Kim's eyes gleam with cold determination, declaring that he should be thankful for having been saved once before landing another precise punch to Deer's face, questioning whether he truly believes it is right to try to kill his savior. Suddenly, the girl jumps between them, gun raised, demanding to know if Deer is okay. A bullet strikes Kim, and he realizes how careless he has been. In Arcane Soul, the most dangerous threat isn't monsters or mutants, but human treachery. He had trusted too easily and been far too naive. Swiftly, he draws his own gun from his pocket, aiming directly at her, resolving that he will not make the same mistake twice, and fires at her arm and the others, sending them all to the ground, trembling in pain. Observing them, Kim decides that it is sufficient for now and turns his attention back to Deer, considering whether he should eliminate him to be safe. Deer attempts a kick, but Kim notices in time and dodges, analyzing his own legs and realizing that they have transformed. He has awakened as a level 1 superhuman. Kim's mind races, shocked that he has managed a superhuman awakening, recalling the countless hours spent playing the game, thinking that the developers had done a poor job balancing it. In the game, all playable characters could awaken as superhumans, a basic growth system. And in Arcane Soul, a level 1 superhuman is powerful enough to threaten ordinary civilians even while wielding an automatic rifle. Deer shouts that he will kill Kim, and he realizes that he must face a superhuman with only his ordinary body. But when he looks again, Deer has vanished. The system alerts him that Deer's trait, stratoscopic movement, is active, granting him incredible leg elasticity to move freely in any direction. Panic surges as Kim watches Deer approach, crawling along the building walls, utilizing his stereoscopic movement to climb with terrifying agility. Deer shouts his intent to kill Kim, striking the ground with a forceful blow that creates a shockwave, prompting Kim to roll to evade the impact. Deer grinds his teeth in frustration, incredulous that Kim dodged, advancing while smirking and claiming that his next attack cannot be avoided. Kim calmly apologizes, stating that he has no intention of dodging, and stops Deer's leg with his rod, calling him an animal. A sly grin crosses his face as he acknowledges to himself that buying the expendable baton had been an excellent decision. A few hours ago, Kim had examined the weapons, contemplating whether purchasing a gun would truly be worth it, yet he reasoned that as a warrior-class character, even with growth, there was a natural limit to how effectively he could wield firearms. To prepare for all possibilities, he had also decided to acquire a weapon suited for his warrior class, ensuring he could fight effectively in close combat. Back in the present, Kim raises his sword just as Deer attempts another powerful kick, and he immediately assesses that each character's weapons and traits are inherently more effective for their respective class, and in order to prevail in this harsh world, he must utilize close-range weapons and traits aligned with a warrior. He launches a precise attack against Deer, who cries out in pain, begging him to stop, before collapsing heavily to the ground. Kim shouts in elation, exclaiming that he has finally defeated the awakened Deer, but his triumph is suddenly interrupted as an intense burning sensation erupts in his hands. Shocked and confused, he struggles to comprehend the unfamiliar feeling, realizing that his entire body seethes with an overwhelming pain. Yet beneath it pulses an unprecedented surge of energy. He screams, staring at his hands, recalling the day he first learned the cruel, unyielding truths of Arcane Soul. At that moment, his system window flares to life, his entire body engulfed in blinding yellow energy, notifying him that he has awakened as a level 1 superhuman, a revelation that fills him with both awe and anticipation. Golden energy surges through Kim's body, and the system calmly declares that he has awakened as a level 1 superhuman warrior. He clenches his fist, astonished by the glow shimmering on his skin, then erupts in a loud cheer because he has finally achieved superhuman status. He leaps around like a hyperactive kangaroo, boasting that he will now secure high-paying mercenary positions and even low-interest loans, as apparently, financial independence feels even more enchanting than the energy surrounding him. Behind him, a man observes the entire spectacle, chewing his cigarette in increasing annoyance. He inquires if Kim is finally finished. Kim flips upright, blinking at him, and then realizes he is staring at a towering figure carrying a massive firearm with a belt of bullets slung like a metallic serpent. He gazes, contemplating if this could be Iron Fist Kim, the second starter character in Arcane Soul, a reinforced soldier combatant who utilizes firearms powered by a specialized prosthetic arm. The problem is, this Iron Fist is not from a game. He is the infamous leader of the Iron Fist Gang, one of the most perilous groups in the underworld. Kim suddenly comprehends that he fought right in their territory and must have caused more problems than he anticipated. One gang member rises with a heavy gun aimed at him, while the leader questions whether Kim even bothered to check where he was creating such chaos. Panic grips him. He explains, his voice trembling, that he was ambushed so unexpectedly that he thought he would perish on the spot. The leader loads the weapon and laughs, asking if Kim's previous opponent was more frightening than their gang. Kim's breathing quickens as he realizes he cannot confront a gun in this condition, and attempting to fight would lead to a pointless death. The barrel presses against his chest. The leader informs him that he has made a serious error and that he will soon learn the consequences of trespassing on their territory. A shadow falls over Kim's face. He tells the man that if this is the case, then he has overlooked a crucial detail. Kim seizes the weapon without hesitation. He shouts that he is not the type to die quietly, then pulls the trigger. The leader flinches as the shot whizzes past Kim's side, taken aback since Kim seemingly shot himself. A sharp pang of pain ripples through Kim's body, and he gasps, bewildered by what is happening. Then a green light bursts around him. The system manifests amidst a whirlwind of mana and notifies him that he has gained a new trait, which is none other than regeneration. A peculiar, tingling sensation spreads throughout Kim's body as the injury gradually mends, skin sealing perfectly over the damaged area. Iron Fist observes silently, releasing a low chuckle at Kim's unique capability. The trait he has acquired is an enhanced version of wound recovery, bestowed only upon someone who awakens as a level 1 superhuman. It will remain beneficial until others begin to underestimate him. Kim smirks and gazes at the men behind him, exuding self-assurance. Surviving wasn't mere luck, and he feels no apprehension towards anyone who approaches him with challenges. Anyone who dares to confront Warrior Kim will quickly find regret. The leader steps in closer, placing a hand gently on Kim's shoulder, implying a debt has been established and hinting at a future bond. Kim intuitively feels that the man will not betray him and decides that trust is worth cultivating. Their hands interlock in a solid handshake, quietly vowing to reunite. In the distance, Jamseel's superhuman tower looms tall and radiant. Clad in new clothes, Kim strides into the building, awestruck by its splendor. It starkly contrasts with his small hometown, every component gleaming and pristine. A woman emerges, moving with poise, her aura calm and powerful. She gestures towards a device that gauges mana and trait circuits, leading him even before he inquires. Kim notices how inexperienced he must appear to her and the others, but he recognizes that this certification marks the beginning of his authentic superhuman journey. He steps closer, concentrating on the machine, contemplating the opportunities it will unveil. Suddenly, a powerful surge of energy strikes his face. He recoils in shock, taken aback. Everyone around halts and gazes upward, their eyes wide. Cries echo as people announce that the saint has arrived. Kim can't help but think, even in a realm filled with abilities, theatrical entrances always have awful timing. Kim is startled as a golden glow spreads across the sky. At first, he assumes it's just a single airship. The light descends quickly, and he instinctively moves out of the way, his heart pounding. Confusion takes hold of him. He recognizes the insignia of the Old Father's order, but he can't comprehend why a boss-level monster is present here. The people around him kneel in deep reverence, whispering how fortunate they are to behold her presence. Kim steps back cautiously. He reminds himself that he is well within the tutorial phase. Saints aren't meant to be boss monsters, are they? However, the Order's reputation isn't as it appears. Soon, the reality comes to light. The Order is a cult masquerading as a religion, indiscriminately attacking citizens. Onlookers gaze at her, uncertain of her motives. Perhaps she arrives for a mana assessment or a level reset. She strides toward a colossal machine, and a wave of energy bursts forth from her, unsettling those nearby. Kim blinks in surprise. That was an impressively loud mana test. Once it concludes, she looks at the screen. Her mana level shows 8. Gasps ripple through the audience. Her 6 attributes are astonishing. Kim showers in perspiration. This isn't a moment for wonder. Level 8 superhumans are akin to entire aircraft carrier fleets roaming about. A being of such power could devastate the city of Seoul, at least in the future. If he voiced that now, everyone would deem him insane and likely stone him. Kim resolves to concentrate on gauging his own mana first and set aside other concerns. He fears that a novice with 6 traits might attract excessive attention, so he limits him to 3. Abruptly, the saint's gaze fixes on Lily. Her assistant looks perplexed, but the saint swiftly closes in on Kim from behind. She softly laughs, noting that he has a fascinating ability. Kim's eyes widened. He stumbles back, incredulous and doubtful that she could have detected his trait alteration. For a fleeting, ridiculous moment, he wonders if saints possess a peculiar sense of humor. Everyone in the audience freezes, their eyes wide with confusion. They do not understand why the saintess is speaking to him. To them, he looks like an ordinary person, nothing remarkable. Suddenly, she clasps his hand, calling him sir, and asks for his name. Kim's heart races, panic surging through him. He blurts out that he is Warrior Kim. A wave of dread crashes over him. In Arcane Soul, the mere act of a priest asking a name carries immense weight. Her presence unnerves him further as she declares she represents the Old Father's order. Without hesitation, she baptizes him, invoking the Lord of the Black Gold Throne. Kim stiffens. The saintess speaks of how the Old Father desires powers like his, urging submission and peace in a hellish world. The crowd's eyes burn with envy. They cannot believe he receives attention from the first daughter of the Old Father himself. Kim grits his teeth, frustration boiling. He realizes that accepting baptism would bind him as a paladin of the order. He remembers the Old Father's order had lost to major forces in South Korea during past conflicts. Panic and anger surge simultaneously. He yanks his hand free, thinking this is like being forced to pour everything into a stock doomed for delisting. He drops to his knees and firmly refuses the baptism. The saintess freezes, stunned, unable to comprehend his defiance. Breathing heavily, Kim affirms he is serious. She can only declare that he is free to serve or refuse, though the Old Father's gaze already rests upon him. She grips him, black energy flowing into his shoulder. He feels the holy mote implanted within him, a constant reminder of its power. Sharp pain shoots through his body. Golden energy envelops him, and he crashes to the ground, flames licking at his skin. The crowd mocks him, unable to fathom a rookie refusing baptism. The system window flashes. Divine fever. Kim's eyes widen as the message explains the punishment. Unending searing pain for rejecting baptism. He grinds his teeth, slamming his fists into the ground. The agony burns through every fiber of his being. Despite preparation, the pain overwhelms him. Deceiver is one of the deadliest curses in Arcane Soul, forcing endless torment. It prevents ordinary life from continuing, a cruel reminder of obedience. Only baptism at the temple can lift it. His body trembles violently as he lies on the ground, caught between pride and suffering. Kim stares vacantly, the realization striking him hard. He had turned down the baptism. He contemplates the future, but in this moment it feels as if death is right outside his door. Abruptly, water splashes over him. Through his barely opened eyes, he notices a girl with tears streaming down her face, asking if he's okay. Recognition dawns. She's the same girl who led him earlier. His eyes widened. Typically, no one aids someone afflicted with divine fever. It could be contagious. Yet here she is, either courageous or reckless, and he can't help but feel thankful. He steels himself to stand, convinced he must endure a bit longer. A system window appears, announcing that he has acquired a new trait. He sits again, trying to compose himself, questioning if refusing the baptism had been a hasty decision. Divine fever intensifies in proportion to the target's overall mana. As a level 1 superhuman, the effect is less severe, leaving him with limited options. First, he needs to acquire the Divine Resistance trait. He draws upon more mana from within. A sharp surge of energy assaults him again, lancing pain throughout his body. The girl continues pouring water on him, encouraging him. It feels like life itself, an odd blend of agony and salvation. Kim understands he must concentrate on the contrasts, fire and water, suffering and relief, using his mana to quell the fever. Suddenly, the energy shifts to blue, even grazing the girl as the system notifies him of a new trait, Mana Barrier. He stands, sensing the new feeling, and a grin spreads across his face. Tier 1, common, defensive, exactly what a warrior requires. The receptionist looks at him, worry etched on her face, but he nods, feeling relieved. Everyone else is shockingly quiet, mouths agape. How did he manage to overcome it? Some murmur about cheat skills. Kim internally chuckles. He hasn't entirely mastered it. The barrier is just a temporary measure. At least the searing pain has vanished, and he acknowledges that the black flames do appear somewhat impressive. Moving forward, he focuses on assessing his mana. The numbers rise steadily. Upon completion, the room falls silent. Level 1, but with 6 traits intact. The crowd whispers about the emergence of a super rookie. Now they begin to comprehend why the Saintess sought him out. Kim, however, hides a frown beneath the surface. Too much attention, too many eyes on him. His desire was straightforward, to strengthen himself quietly. And now, tranquility is a luxury he can no longer afford. The lady congratulates him, her eyes bright with astonishment. She mentions that she has never seen anyone start with a 6-layered circuit. Without delay, she moves to complete the process of issuing his superhuman license. After finishing, she hands him the license once again, celebrating that he is now an officially certified superhuman. Kim cries out, holding the card tightly, feeling the weight of every bit of effort he has poured into this achievement. Happiness floods through him. He glances at the card, imagining all the struggles and moments that led to this point. She begins to explain the special privileges of a level 1 superhuman, but Kim stops her with a slight grin. He already knows every single one. He lists them silently in his mind. Reduced restrictions on carrying weapons, increasing exemptions from taxes as his level grows, immunity from arrest, free access to all transportation, and more benefits that seem almost too good to be true. He chuckles at himself, thinking about how he treasures this license so much that it almost feels like he has a girlfriend now. The lady watches him in quiet confusion, unable to understand the depth of his enthusiasm. Kim smiles again, reminding himself that he is a game addict, a self-proclaimed doctor of superhumanology, always focused on mastering every rule and system. He does not waste time dwelling on explanations. Around them, the audience murmurs and peers eagerly, trying to catch every word and action, shocked by his confidence. He wonders if there is a discreet way to leave without drawing attention. The lady rises, laughing softly, her hair swaying with her movement, radiating an effortless beauty. She has already prepared a secret path for him, and he is left momentarily stunned. Without question, he follows her. They enter a dark alley, shadows stretching across the walls, a narrow passage that hides them from prying eyes. Kim silently thanks her for the care, the stealth cloak, and guiding him through this hidden route. She assures him that helping each other is only natural, her tone calm and confident. As they move, a system window flashes, notifying him that he has obtained a new trait. He smirks quietly, thinking how convenient it is to receive such a useful bonus for free. They continue along the passage, walking for a while until she stops, pointing toward the exit. She explains that this is as far as she can guide him due to the roof. He bows deeply, expressing profound gratitude. She smiles, telling him it is no problem and wishes him a safe journey. Kim glances back at her, impressed by such unexpected kindness in a world often so cruel. Her beauty strikes him silently, and he resolves to repay her once he grows stronger. As he walks away, a sudden thought strikes him. He never asked her name. He pulls a card from his pocket, looking at it with widening eyes, and freezes. Bake Soren. One of the 3 strongest SSR rank warriors in the game. A berserker feared for her terrifying in-game presence. Everything suddenly makes sense. The resemblance in her features, the intensity he once associated with fear, now aligns with this real, kind person before him. His mouth drops open. The terrifying legend of the game transforms into someone gentle and thoughtful in reality. Behind him, she observes silently, pleased that he is unharmed. She does not know that the world has shaped her heart, softening it beyond the fierce image she projects in the game. Kim remains in awe, caught between astonishment and admiration. The contrast between legend and reality overwhelms him, leaving him grateful, amazed, and determined to repay her for her generosity and kindness someday, no matter the cost. After obtaining his new superhuman license, Kim immerses himself in clearing monster lairs for a week, pushing his limits. Every muscle aches with pain. Each step feels heavier than the last. He collapses after completing just one cave, completely exhausted. The idea of efficiency seems like a cruel joke. When he opens the system window, he sees that all his traits are dedicated to sustaining the mana barrier. His gaze drifts to his hands, envisioning how much quicker he could have been if he had tailored his abilities for cave cleaning. The divine fever prevents any such adjustments. There's only one solution: nectar, a rare elixir that can eliminate the fever. Its cost is outrageous, turning a straightforward cleaning job into a luxury expenditure. Shaking, he compels himself to rise. The relentless buzz of his phone tests his patience. Frustrated, he cuts the call again, tired of the constant disruptions. Then, like a flash of inspiration, a clever idea strikes him, brilliant in its simplicity. Kim makes his way to the old bald man's agency, the legendary figure said to provide any superhuman request. Encountering him in person ignites a thrill. The man moves around him with agility and grace. Kim smiles, feeling almost playful. He straightens up and inquires if his requested work has been located. The man laughs, a low, knowing sound. A glance at the tablet confirms the challenge. Nectar can only be acquired through level 5 or higher superhuman requests. Kim's frustration simmers. He stands up suddenly, prepared to leave if he can't secure it. But the old man shouts, gesturing with the tablet, urging him to wait. This requires an exclusive contract. He must guarantee its acquisition. Kim smirks internally, aware of Director Choi's eagerness for a superhuman contract. Obviously, he would come across a nectar reward. He sits back down, confidence returning, eager for the specifics of the request. The tablet reveals the name, Number 1 Security. Confusion flickers across Kim's face. He has never heard of it. A private military company? The old man affirms that it ranks among the top 10 in the field. Its CEO and vice CEO are married, both hailing from traditional martial arts backgrounds, their foundation solid. Kim's thoughts race. With such wealth and influence, why issue a public request? He scratches his head and chuckles. Maybe the kid just threw a fit over snack time and this is their interpretation of discipline, he muses, shaking his head. Choi explains the trouble's origin, their son. A photograph appears on the tablet, displaying the boy in question. Kim leans in closer, scrutinizing the image with a blend of curiosity and unease. The mission promises power, danger, and legacy, all rolled into one. Every instinct within him tingles. He knows this will be much more than just a simple fetching job. Every step ahead poses a challenge, and he's poised to confront it head-on. He states that he has already reached level 20, but has yet to awaken as a superhuman. Kim furrows his brow in bewilderment. How could a member of such a prestigious family remain unawakened? Choi elaborates that there are whispers suggesting the boy has amassed level 8 mana. Simply moving about could produce that amount. Kim ponders that this is the intriguing aspect of the situation. The criteria for the request specify a warrior-type superhuman of level 1 or above. Thus, it naturally falls to him. A playful glint ignites in Kim's eyes as he smiles. He informs the elder that he wishes to see them immediately. Upon arriving at their estate, they both settle in the waiting area. Choi observes that the CEOs must be preoccupied. They were never known for being tardy. Kim's gaze wanders through the lavish surroundings. Every detail exudes affluence. The furnishings, the ornaments, the enormous scale. It could bankrupt a small nation. Abruptly, the couple arrives, bowing and expressing their apologies for being late. The woman introduces herself as Lee Miri, while the man is Seo Jungju. The elder deeply bows, thanking them for their attention. Kim scrutinizes them, perceiving the powerful mana emanating from both. They are easily at least level 6 superhumans, possibly even stronger. Their mere presence is formidable. The man scowls, muttering that he can instantly recognize weakness. The woman shoots him a sharp glance. He immediately quiets down and returns to his seat. The woman signals for Kim to sit down, her voice steady but authoritative. She contemplates whether their son has consented to the proposal. Kim straightens himself, clearing his throat, eager to check on the boy's well-being first. Before he can speak, the man slams his palm onto the table. The noise echoes through the room like a blast. He stands up, his eyes blazing, questioning if Kim really has the audacity to address him in that fashion. His wife intervenes, placing a hand on his shoulder, calming him with her quiet strength. She turns to Kim, apologizing, and explains that her husband behaves like this due to their son. There are some matters, she confesses, that simply cannot be disclosed to outsiders. She reassures him that once he consents to the request, their son will be contacted, and everything will be clarified. Her instinct tells her he is urgently in need of nectar. Kim nods, understanding the significance of her words. Everything falls into place for him. He feels assured about his choice. Gradually, he sits down, agreeing to the request. He asks them to call for their son. A boy comes forward, introducing himself as So Woojin. Kim stands to greet him, extending a tentative hand. His gaze sharpens. Something seems unusual. Despite the introduction, he detects nothing. No mana, no aura, an absolute emptiness. A child from such a formidable family, yet unawakened. It's almost laughable. Kim can't help but think that a boy like this might require more assistance in learning to tie his shoelaces than in navigating a monster cave. The ridiculousness brings a smirk to his face, though a sense of unease creeps up his spine. He wonders how chaos might arise from such a quiet presence. Every instinct shouts that beneath the calm facade lie layers of trouble poised to burst forth. Kim observes the boy, calculating, analyzing, and preparing himself for what may come next. Kim observes the glove fitting snugly around his hand, appreciating its elegant design. The edges glimmer with a faint glow, suggesting the potent mana sealed within. Woojin looks at it, his gaze calm yet filled with respect. He puts it on with appreciation, aware that it is more than he deserves. Kim grins, acknowledging that the boy is correct. Strong mana sealing is crucial in this situation. Those around them stiffen, their faces a blend of wonder and disbelief. A smirk creeps onto Kim's face as he perceives the situation coming together. The instant he saw the gloves, he grasped the entire setup. Despite the request involving the sensitive matters of a noble family, they intentionally set the requirement for a level 1 warrior-type superhuman. They dangled a tempting offer as bait, and he was the ideal lure. His thoughts rush. Their son must have undergone baptism by the Old Father's order. That clarifies why he has yet to awaken. He declined the baptism and sealed his mana to avoid divine fever. Publicly declaring it would have been impossible. Their plight pushed them to find someone else. The recent whispers of a level 1 superhuman triumphing over divine fever had led Kim to them. Woojin's eyes sparkle, his admiration evident. He views Kim as extraordinary and feels no need for further clarification. For just a moment, he envisions himself in a selective story, like a hero encountering the enigmatic superhuman. Kim quietly grins, believing it to be nothing more than reading the circumstances. There's no need to fear when the future is clear. He examines the boy's likeness, aware that one day this young man will serve as the vanguard paladin of the Old Father's order. At first, he turned down baptism and opposed it. However, when his family lost their influence, he had no alternative but to align with the order. Kim notices the CEO approaching, his demeanor respectful and his expression tense. He questions whether their son can be saved. Kim smirks, recalling the CEO's past arrogance. One moment confident, the next desperate. Certainly, there's a solution. He reaches out to grasp the boy's shoulder, determination flickering in his eyes. He has invested 10,000 hours in this game. He understands the agony, every test, every feverish battle. Kim silently assures him, promising deliverance. Woojin's eyes widened with happiness, rushing to embrace him. The family observes, tears of relief and joy mingling, their son finally discovering hope. Kim indulges in a quiet chuckle. Regardless of how powerful the saintess is, she attempted to baptize him into an unworthy cult. Yet now, her future subordinate is firmly allied with him. Somewhere in the recesses of his mind, he muses that if these gloves were to have a warning label, it would read, "Caution, may attract heroic protagonists and suspiciously strategic thoughts." The absurdity of this notion makes him smirk, though satisfaction runs much deeper. Victory feels solid, earned, and quietly certain. Kim takes a step back, his posture both calm and intentional, stating that he wishes to add a stipulation before commencing the treatment. The atmosphere in the room freezes, thick with tension. Everyone's expressions widened in surprise. Has he really dared to make an extra request? Kim's tone remains steady as he elucidates that the complexity of this request has escalated considerably. The woman tilts her head slightly, acknowledging the validity of his statement. Now, it's not solely about awakening mana. The challenge of overcoming divine fever has heightened the stakes. She motions for him to proceed, placing her trust in him, believing that if he can heal their son, he can achieve anything. A small smile appears on Kim's face. His request, though straightforward, is undeniably bold. He asks them to teach him the mountain-breaking swordsmanship. Instantly, the couple's demeanor darkens, shadows of anger emerging around them. The woman's gaze fixates on him, sharp and relentless. He can feel the vice CEO's presence bearing down on him like a living weapon, far more daunting than the CEO next to her. The intensity of her stare sends shivers down his spine. In this realm, power dictates authority. An exceptional swordsman can effortlessly obliterate a tank. Mastery of martial arts at the highest level holds more value than entire squadrons of fighter jets. For a level 1 superhuman to learn the mountain-breaking swordsmanship is practically an unfair advantage for newcomers. It is said that only the elite ever achieve mastery of it. Kim's thoughts race, wondering if he has crossed a line. His voice quivers as he affirms his request, vowing that it hinges on the successful completion of the task. The moment lingers, tense as steel, until her son calls out from behind. The interruption alleviates her anger, compelling her to acquiesce. She agrees, providing a memory chip containing the mountain-breaking swordsmanship alongside the precious nectar. Kim's eyes widened in astonishment. That was all it took? He expected a fierce battle of wills, maybe even a death glare. Now, both the swordsmanship and nectar are his. She warns him that failure will lead to great disappointment from her husband, as well as her own frustration. Kim chuckles, the sound bright, assuring her that failure is not an option. He gestures towards their son, indicating it is time to commence. In the dimly lit room, he constructs a mana-focusing circle, summoning the flow of energy. 200 intermediate-grade mana potions are ready and waiting. Miri confirms that everything he requested has been arranged. Kim inspects the setup, nodding in approval. It will be more than adequate. Kim insists on managing the treatment by himself, requesting the woman to leave the room. Reluctantly, she apologizes for her previous actions, explaining that her son had been baptized against his will. Before he even started school, he had no friends and never participated in family outings. His childhood was spent in a solitary room, governed by rules he had no say in. Bowing her head, she hands over everything to Kim from this point onwards. Woojin expresses concern for her, speaking softly and assuring her that he is okay. Kim observes, realizing that the entire family is weighed down by the Saintess plots. In the game, he is destined to oppose his own family. This could explain why Woojin may become distant in the future. Kim silently offers her reassurance. He stretches his limbs, concentrating on the work ahead. Woojin shakes beside him, his voice frantic as he asks what he should do. Kim looks at him calmly, questioning why he appears so afraid and encouraging him to relax. The boy hesitates, his eyes filled with fear, anticipating torture, injections, or electric shocks. Kim comes to a halt. He struggles to comprehend the treatments Woojin has faced. In truth, divine fever only requires nectar post-awakening. However, due to Woojin's excessive mana and extreme fever, typical methods were ineffective. Kim scans the bottles, emphasizing that discretion is crucial. Everything witnessed today must remain confidential. Woojin nods resolutely, vowing to stay silent. Kim removes the cap from a bottle, mentally strategizing. First, the mana barrier needs to be pushed to its utmost limit. Heat radiates through his body, electric and suffocating. He opens another bottle, followed by another, consuming them one after another. The flavor is intolerable, sour and bitter, enough to dissuade anyone from a life of heroics, though Kim muses that it might at least inspire villains to reconsider their paths. After completing the stack, the system interface flickers to life. He gains a new trait, drug addiction. Damage incurred and mana expenditure increase, but the drug effects are significantly amplified. Now, everything hinges on one goal. Kim must concentrate all his mana on the barrier. The room is hushed, the tension thick, disturbed only by the sound of his steady swallowing and the soft hum of the increasing shield. Every ounce of his being channels energy. Every thought is focused, every muscle poised. The next moments will determine everything. Kim instructs the system to create a shield within the specified area. He wipes his mouth and stands up, filled with excitement as he realizes that the divine fever has been completely expelled from the barrier. The boy next to him gazes at him with wide eyes, filled with wonder. Kim shakes his head, cautioning that it's too soon to be impressed. He commands the boy to take off his mana-sealing glove. A look of panic crosses the boy's face, but Kim insists. The glove has to come off. His hand needs to enter the barrier. Then, he just has to grab hold of Kim's hand. The boy wavers, softly asking about resonance and what could happen if the divine fevers were to clash. Kim exits the barrier, reassuring him that it'll be manageable inside. He tells the boy to stop questioning and just follow commands. The boy shivers, realizing this is the first time since the baptism that he's removing the glove. He feels a strange pulse of energy, sharp and overwhelming. Kim's eyes widen as he senses the tremendous mana flowing within the boy. Simply holding his hand is a risk. Suddenly, pain strikes, much worse than the saint's baptism. It feels as if his bones are shattering. The boy stifles a scream, pushing through the agony to maintain focus. Kim can't help but think that even the saints might need to toughen their pain threshold after this. He briefly envisions a divine spa day, complete with compulsory screaming lessons. Silently, he mocks the saint while enduring the torment for the sake of the boy. Moments later, he pulls the boy from the barrier, safely throwing him outside. The system window flashes, damage absorbed. Kim grins, reveling in the success. The boy is left speechless. The glove is gone, but the pain was tolerable. Kim clarifies that the experience was essential. He then realizes that the damage absorption has siphoned a portion of the divine fever into himself. The boy's fever is now significantly diminished. Kim picks up the sword, signaling the completion of the final stage. He instructs the boy to keep going, to strike without holding back until awakening. The boy's eyes gleam, and he clutches the sword, attacking repeatedly. Kim flinches as he witnesses his iron arm guard shatter with a single blow. The system announces a new ability, Protect. Even with this, a single hit could leave him critically injured. All this from a boy who hasn't even awakened yet. The sword glimmers, and Kim notes the golden energy emanating from the boy's body. Panic begins to swell. Both the sword and the boy radiate the same light. SSR rank 1, the system confirms. Kim clenches his teeth, trapped in disbelief. A sword merging with its wielder, an absurdly powerful warrior-class trait. He braces himself for the next strike, his heart pounding, thinking he may not make it through. Somewhere deep down, he wonders if he should have just opened a bakery instead. After all, bread is a lot safer than SSR swords. Every muscle tenses, every thought narrows. One wrong move, and it's all over. Kim grinds his teeth in frustration. He realizes that first, he must bring out every defensive trait he has and focus the barriers onto his two arms. The mana-focusing circle in the room hums, aiding him. He forms a barrier, dodging the boy's relentless strikes. It's a mana shield trait, and he smirks, realizing he's combined protection and mana barrier to create a true mana shield. Relief washes over him. Death just missed him. He glances at the boy, only to see him suddenly collapse. Shock grips him. How could he lose consciousness after nearly killing Kim? He walks closer, takes a deep breath, and realizes the boy is simply asleep. Kim thinks that the brief berserk state after awakening makes sense. In the game, So Woojin is a strong SSR-ranked character, but awakening as a warrior rather than a paladin gave him the sword as a starting trait. Kim freaks out internally, imagining the monstrous warrior he might have just created. He picks the boy up, hoisting him onto his shoulder, thinking about how this change could twist the future story. The boy has a silver spoon and immense strength and now owes Kim a favor. He grins. Not a bad deal at all. Placing him on the bed, Kim notices the parents' joy. Relief and gratitude radiate from them as they bow deeply, thanking him. Even Choi's admiration is palpable, attending to Kim everywhere. Kim waves it off, thinking it's nothing. The lady, however, worries because her son has never slept so peacefully, unsure how to repay such a debt. She glances at her husband, who nods in agreement. Along with the nectar and the mountain-breaking swordsmanship memory chip, he insists on providing an additional success fee. Kim grins, declining politely. But the man persists, offering 1 billion won, claiming it's a small amount compared to what Kim has done. Kim's eyes widened. He grins wickedly inside, hiding his reaction, thinking twice about refusing. Some offers are just impossible to say no to. Kim wonders if he should start a side hustle selling snacks with that kind of luck. It might be safer than carrying SSR warriors around. In the car, Choi remarks that today was a jackpot. Kim holds the payment, nodding, confirming it was amazing. Every thought spins with the realization that even in a world of superhumans, some victories feel like winning the lottery. Choi inquires if he intends to consume the nectar right away. Kim pauses briefly before concluding that he will. A brief break feels warranted after all he has gone through. The elderly man nods, recognizing that Kim would want to evade drawing suspicion from the old father's order, or anyone who might learn about his prize. He notes with a heavy heart that it's unfortunate. Refining the nectar first would greatly enhance Kim's mana. Kim silently agrees, realizing that by refining it, his superhuman abilities could skyrocket beyond merely curing the divine fever. The vehicle comes to a stop in front of the hotel. Choi indicates he'll look for equipment to refine the nectar and suggests Kim wait a bit longer. Kim offers a faint smile, assuring himself that he'll think about it, but once they get to the hotel, he grins and twists off the cap. After all, why delay when he has already braved caves in divine fever? Based on past experiences, he understands that Arcane Soul can be unforgiving. He cannot put full trust in the director. He takes a drink. Energy surges explosively through his being, every fiber quaking. Muscles dismantle and restructure, overwhelming mana inundating him. He feels his power radiating outward, resonating through the building itself. Moments later, a new superhuman emerges, Level 2 warrior Kim. A grin spreads across his face. The divine fever has healed him and granted one of the finest Tier 1 traits in the entire game, Black Flame. It adds to his arsenal alongside mountain-breaking swordsmanship. A wave of relief sweeps over him. Training will now be significantly easier. A fleeting thought crosses his mind. Perhaps he should have requested a trait that automatically handles the dishes too. Suddenly, his phone vibrates. It's a notification from Director Choi. Initially, Kim disregards it, concentrating on his training. The buzzing continues, unyielding. Eventually, he picks it up, frustrated, mentally scolding the urgency of it all. His eyes widened in surprise. The message isn't casual, it's a hidden alert. Flee from the Dagger Gang. Confusion envelops him. The Dagger Gang? They are in opposition to the Iron Fist Gang. If Choi were allied with them, he would have delayed buying time. The concealed message implies that Choi was caught off guard while attempting to gather equipment. Kim frowns. He resolves to disregard it. His duty is complete, and everyone in this game has to look out for themselves. There's no need to play caretaker for anyone. Even if the Dagger Gang intended to throw a surprise event, he has leveled up and has more pressing matters to attend to. Besides, if survival is merely a game, he muses, someone ought to have distributed guidelines with snacks. The director endures the night in silence, every second a torment, yet not a word escapes him. He clings to his vow, knowing Kim signed the contract out of trust, refusing to betray that faith. The gangster grows impatient, compelled to act as extreme measures become necessary. He raises a dagger, ready to strike, when a sudden, piercing ray of energy slashes through the air from behind. Panic spreads among his subordinates as the building erupts into chaos. Explosions rain down, grenades thrown from above, sending the structure into disarray. Kim watches from his vantage point, calm and precise, orchestrating the destruction without hesitation. The energy cascades violently, scattering those inside and leaving the building in turmoil. Every movement is calculated, the city trembling beneath the force unleashed. The director's ordeal continues, yet Kim remains untouched, a controlled storm amid the chaos, ensuring the mission advances without compromise. All the gang members scramble in confusion, unable to pinpoint the source of the attack. Panic spreads as they frantically search every corner. Kim watches from above, noting how they spill out like cockroaches fleeing a kitchen. The building seems ordinary, yet he knows every inch. He had cleared this Dagger Gang dungeon countless times until he got sick of it. The Dagger Gang quest was practically a tutorial for him. He could navigate it blindfolded, and now veterans of chaos were about to clean it again. The gang mistakes the sudden assault for the Iron Fist guys, the only ones rumored capable of handling them. They scramble, trying to defend their turf, but Kim stays hidden, observing. Suddenly, one of them senses something and searches for a trolley. Before they can react, Kim's fist slams a man to the ground. The gang freezes, bewildered, unable to see him right in front of them. He smirks, realizing that stealth and feigned death remain unmatched tools for infiltration. While the clueless gang flounders outside, he plans his entry into the main building. Stepping silently, he ascends a ladder, debating whether to use the secret entrance. Inside, he moves cautiously, avoiding unnecessary combat. He anticipates the gang placing hostages near the 5th-floor boss room. Progress is slow, deliberate, and controlled. Then alarms blare. Emergency! The building's defenses kick in. Every member arms themselves and heads to assembly points. Kim grits his teeth. They discovered his gate. A dilemma forms. The lobby holds the central staircase, optimal for infiltration, but now barricades await. Open the door, and bullets will tear through. He grins, expecting this. Gun aimed, he unleashes fire across the room. Chaos erupts, screams rise. The Gatling gun roars like a storm. They attempt to avoid it, but none escape the blast. A grenade impacts the ground among them, scattering debris everywhere. Kim ducks behind a wall, grinning. One grenade? That's too weak. It's not his style. He takes out several more, throwing them with accuracy, ensuring they experience every ounce of its power. The door crashes shut behind him as their screams resonate through the smoke-filled space. He smiles, relishing how pleasing it is to watch them scurry like frightened cockroaches. Once the chaos calms and the smoke leisurely rises to the ceiling, he moves forward, examining the bodies. Was that everyone? Maybe there are survivors. He remains vigilant. Suddenly, a man concealed behind him aims a firearm, poised to shoot. The man yells, insisting Kim must die. Kim halts for an instant, then instinctively reacts, evading a bullet that could have taken his life. The system window flickers, indicating the sensitive trait has been unlocked, the trait he required from this dungeon. A sense of relief washes over him as he realizes the minions are finally dealt with. He ascends the stairs, each step taken with caution, aware that real peril awaits. On the 4th floor is the gambling room. Preceding the 5th and the boss's domain, he anticipates an ambush. Kim conceals himself behind a wall, eyes scanning his surroundings, but finds nothing. His heartbeat accelerates. The gambling room is also vacant. Something feels amiss. Focus. Trait unlocked. Then, from above, a drone releases a peculiar device. Bright blue energy radiates as it strikes the ground. Flashbang. He shields his eyes, momentarily blinded, only to sense an attack approaching from behind. The boss of the Dagger Gang, a level 2 superhuman assassin, grins, prepared. Kim turns, noticing that a boy's assault goes straight through the body. The boy recoils, astonished. Kim smirks, playfully asking if he isn't the one dressed like a rat. The assassin freezes, realizing he has fallen directly into a trap. Kim's mind races, recognizing that this isn't part of the game, but he skillfully reads the attack patterns. Flashbang? A coordinated ambush for the boss room. Sensitive and focus traits must be activated prior to the strike. Every sense heightened, every nerve alert, each move deliberate. The assassin gazes in disbelief, wondering how he managed to evade that. Kim shrugs, unfazed, drawing his sword. His grin widens. Revenge, swift and precise, will be his reward. He swings his sword, slicing the air toward the assassin. The target shifts direction in an instant, forcing Kim to skid backward, eyes wide in panic. From behind, the assassin taunts, moving with lethal grace. Green energy flares as a dagger streaks toward him, but Kim twists just in time, swinging his blade in return. Teeth grind. An assassin's speed is no joke, and even with sensitive and focused traits, every dodge demands perfection. Poison coats the dagger. One scratch, one careless touch, and death follows. The fight drags on, and the longer it lasts, the deeper Kim sinks into danger. The assassin pauses, admiration in his sharp gaze. Surrender, he suggests, and only a single arm will be lost. Kim snorts at the absurdity, daring the man to attack him head-on. Laughter spills from the assassin, sharp and cutting. Kim notices the words gunner slip out, realizing his opponent mistook him for a reinforced soldier, someone reliant on firearms, not swordsmanship. Misjudged, but irrelevant now. The assassin lunges again, intent on shredding him as painfully as possible. Kim ducks, calculating. One opening, one opportunity, and it must be seized. The boy laughs, calling him slow, but Kim thrusts his sword, tip aimed at the neck. Panic floods the assassin as the classic warrior combo comes alive. He crashes to the ground, narrowly avoiding the finishing strike. Kim mutters an apology, a smirk tugging at his lips. Once traits shift, gunner status disappears. Mountain-breaking swordsmanship ignites in his hands. With the first style, he tears through defenses, each striking a scale mountain crusher. The assassin screams, collapsing under the relentless assault. Kim laughs, the sound sharp, triumphant. Guard down, the man pays the price. Desperation flares as the assassin rises, charging once more. Kim's shout cuts through the tension. Final attack. A cascade of blood splashes the window, and the assassin sprawled, writhing in pain. Relief flickers, but a sudden sting reminds Kim of the dagger's poison. His body trembles, realization dawning. Guarding down at the wrong moment carries consequences. The toxin courses through his veins, a dangerous reminder that even victory has its cost. He takes out the dagger, knowing he must switch his traits, and scans the traits section carefully. He halts the bleeding with a burst of blue energy, confident he can endure it, though the pain still lingers. He slides the dagger back into place. From the window, a faint sound of someone trying to escape reaches him, and he immediately knows there is no time to waste. He must exit the building quickly. On the 5th floor of the Dagger Gang HQ, the torture room holds Choi bound tightly to a chair. He topples the chair while trying to reach a shard of mirror, realizing he has to get out as fast as possible. Footsteps approach suddenly. Kim bends down, inspecting Choi with concern, questioning silently how he got caught, and Choi freezes in panic. Kim unties him carefully, and the old man begins crying, overwhelmed by the effort Kim went through just to save him. Kim gestures for him to stop and focuses on moving to safety together. Choi is exhausted, his body trembling from pain, and Kim takes note of how much harm these bastards inflicted on him. He leans down, urging Choi onto his back, and though the old man protests, Kim insists, prioritizing reaching a safe location quickly. With no other option, Choi climbs onto Kim's back, expressing gratitude. Kim feels a rare surge of connection, realizing this man's loyalty runs deep despite everything, and that in a world where trust is scarce, someone has truly touched his heart. Returning to the Seonsu workforce, Kim downs multiple recovery potions, acquiring the trait Poison Resistance. The director watches, offering more, saying he can take as much as needed. Kim declines with a smile, satisfied that he has already obtained the trait and no longer requires them. The old man apologizes repeatedly, admitting that the information was leaked while preparing his nectar and regrets trusting his employees. Kim reassures him that it's fine, having already consumed the nectar himself. The director erupts, demanding to know why, and Kim explains that without drinking it, saving him would have been impossible. The director reels, realizing the sacrifices made to ensure Choi's safety, while Kim smirks, knowing it is not because of him personally, but allowing the director to believe whatever he wants. Suddenly, bullets tore through the door. The director's eyes widen, panic surging as he considers whether the Dagger Gang has already found them. His gaze darkens on Kim, silently demanding what should be done next. Kim remains composed, analyzing the situation, deciding that the unexpected guests should be welcomed. He opens the door and sees the Iron Fist Gang standing there. Recognition sparks immediately. The boss, aware that Kim annihilated the Dagger Gang, assesses him as no ordinary individual and wonders why he called this meeting. Kim reasons it must be to claim the reward for clearing such a difficult quest. He quickly grasps the underlying conflict. The two gangs are rivals, fighting for control over the Silim area. In the game, the tutorial mandates eliminating the Dagger Gang by aiding the Iron Fist Gang. A sly grin forms as Kim realizes that simply defeating the Dagger Gang brought him substantial rewards. The boss contemplates whether Kim intends to form a new organization, but Kim dismisses the idea, explaining that it is not the right time and that the real purpose is to give him the area formerly held by the Dagger Gang. Confusion paints the boss's expression. Kim clarifies that he prefers to operate solo, with no intention of stepping into the underworld, and this act serves as a final repayment of a debt. The boss weighs the offer, recognizing it as advantageous with nothing to lose, though slightly overwhelming compared to the previous debt. Seeking confirmation, Kim smiles, signaling that they share the same understanding. Now that the boss possesses his own territory thanks to Kim, he must grant a wish. The boss, uncertain, agrees to hear it. Kim, grinning broadly like a fool, reveals that the wish is a house, realizing at last that it is finally time to go home. The boss stares at him, confusion written across his face. Kim contemplates the mansion, recognizing that working alone in this harsh world demands a proper base. Suddenly, the old man approaches, touching his stomach, and panic flashes across Kim as he worries about injuries from the recent fight. The boss scoffs but consents to his request. Kim appreciates straightforward solutions and feels a surge of excitement over the new house. The boss inquires about his preferences. Kim clarifies that he does not want a villa or an apartment. He needs a standalone house with soundproofing for security and a basement training facility. The boss considers it while Kim waits and then confirms they have it. The house sits on the outskirts of Silim, along the ridge of Gyeon-ubong, exactly as the first base offered to the player in the game. Kim now sits on the balcony, marveling at the feeling of having his own house. He loves every detail of it, realizing how far he has come. When he first fell into Arcane Soul, he had no idea what to do, and even the hospital bill had amounted to 20 billion won. Now, he has a palace-like home, wealth from top-tier security, and support from the director, enough to spend a year in the hospital without concern. Yet, this is a game. There is no time to linger on success because, as the plot progresses, villains like the Saintess of the Old Father's Order will emerge to devastate the city. He grips his dagger, recognizing it is time to uncover the true reason he chose this house. He descends to the underground training room, testing the walls by knocking on them. Determined, he resolves to break through with his equipment, and as the walls fracture, his traits activate, accelerating the work beyond his expectations. After persistent effort, his body trembles, his breathing ragged. It proves far more demanding than anticipated, but his eyes catch a glimmer of progress, reminding him not to surrender. He strikes the stone again and again until a flash of water bursts forth. He jumps in excitement, tasting the water eagerly, and suddenly, blue energy flares across his body. A smirk crosses his face as he notes the flavor. His body begins to heal rapidly, the effect of the mana spring becoming immediately apparent. This spring brims with mana, a source so potent that even characters whose HP has plummeted can recover swiftly when immersed here. He had chosen this house precisely because he knew this spring existed within it, unlike anywhere else. He struggles through countless obstacles to reach this place, recalling how in the game he could have completed it with a single click. He plunges himself into the water, feeling the effects course through him. The area is breathtaking, an ideal space for all kinds of activities and entertainment. He draws his dagger, aware that it allows him to recover instantly, and turns his focus to the one and only free-to-play ranker's extreme efficiency training. 2 weeks have passed since he confined himself to this room, training relentlessly. He can now activate the black flame with precision, everything aligning perfectly with his mountain-breaking swordsmanship, having mastered the second style, Mountain Divider, and the third style, Mountain Pierce. He grins, acknowledging his proficiency in combining swordsmanship with black flames, alongside the valuable traits acquired through his efforts. Only one crucial objective remains, the Monarch cultivation technique, unobtainable through conventional training. If he had located the nectar before drinking it, he could have ascended to superhuman level 3, but remaining at level 2 leaves residual mana in his body. To fully absorb this energy and reach level 3, he needs the mana cultivation technique. He knows it is difficult to acquire, valued at 10 million. At the antique shop, the shopkeeper reacts with shock upon hearing his intent to purchase an item stored in a warehouse for over 10 years. Yet Kim insists on acquiring it. The item is none other than the Monarch Cultivation Technique book. He is the only person in the Arcana of Soul aware that this technique is hidden in an antique shop. Determined, he sets out, only to be confronted by a closed shop. The entrance is sealed with mana, barring entry entirely. The shop is stocked with materials of every imaginable type, and he recalls that in the game, it would always remain accessible regardless of effort, making this closure baffling. Adding to the confusion, most neighboring shops have shuttered as well. He becomes flustered, realizing the world of Arcane Soul has changed drastically from what he once knew. Kim strolls through the bustling streets, lost in thought, when he suddenly spots a man seated on the ground, voicing doubts about whether the market situation has deteriorated lately. He observes the figure and quickly realizes that even the owner of the few remaining shops is finding it hard to survive. The old man moans in exasperation, claiming that anyone can see he is suffering in the midst of the turmoil surrounding him. He elaborates that due to the constant clashes among thugs, no customers are visiting at all. Kim feels bewildered, remembering that this area should have been under the control of the Iron Fist gang. The old man yells angrily, asserting that ever since the Dagger Gang was eliminated, various gangs have been battling continuously: the Iron Fist Gang, the Poison Gang, and the Naked Gang. Kim processes this information, confused, recalling that in the original game, the Iron Fist Gang alone defeated the Dagger Gang and took over their territory, thereby bringing stability to the marketplace. Now, however, he himself eradicated the Dagger Gang, and as a result, this area has devolved into a chaotic battleground with multiple gangs vying for control. He pauses, contemplating carefully about what to do next, when he suddenly hears fighting erupting from the rooftop and decides to take a look. On the rooftop, a fierce confrontation is taking place. One of the boys steps forward, reminding the others that this three-way intersection is claimed by the Poison Gang and signaling them to withdraw to their area. This is the Steel Scorpion, the underboss of the Poison Gang, classified as an N-rank, level 2 superhuman. Another suited man glowers in frustration at the disruption. Suddenly, more figures appear, clearly members of the Naked Gang. One of the heavier men speaks up, asserting that the intersection is theirs and introducing himself as the exhibitionist underboss of the Naked Gang. The Poison Gang underboss tells him to leave, maintaining that this is their territory, but the overweight man challenges him, asking if he truly plans to continue this affront. Lil, witnessing the standoff, feels a rush of panic, realizing that he must step back to stay safe. Suddenly, a suited man spots Kim, questioning whether he is the one who single-handedly took down the Dagger Gang. Kim reaches out a hand to assist him in getting up, silently encouraging him to take charge and fulfill his responsibilities. He then addresses the assembled gangsters, commanding them to stop the chaos immediately and to come together in an orderly manner. The boy standing next to him looks on in shock, utterly perplexed, unable to grasp what Kim is doing at that moment. Caught between fear and astonishment, Kim moves carefully, explaining that he is helping him here, while he wonders how to restore the marketplace to its original state and considers that assisting the Iron Fist Gang might be the better choice. He studies the leader closely, realizing that both of them are level 2 superhumans, and although he could fight with his full strength and likely win, doing so could inflict unnecessary harm on the merchants nearby, so he restrains himself. Drawing his flaming sword, he intends to display his power clearly and decisively, making sure the leaders grasp the scope of his strength. Their eyes widen in shock when they recognize him and ask if he is the one who annihilated the Dagger Gang alone. Kim chuckles softly, affirming that it is indeed him, adding that he will act generously this time, intending to offer a proposition too significant to refuse. He instructs them not to complicate matters and proposes a fair, one-on-one competition, declaring that the victor should control the market, and inquires whether they accept these terms. The leader of the Poison Gang grits his teeth in frustration, questioning if Kim truly believes they are fools. Kim reassures him that there is no cause for concern because the contest will occur within the category in which each participant is most confident and skilled. He first turns his attention to the fat man, who laughs uncontrollably and even tries to coerce Kim into joining their obscure religion. Kim firmly refuses, reasoning that this religion does not belong to any of the 7 recognized faiths, carries no official name, and has no legitimate standing, so joining is meaningless and irrelevant, a waste of focus and time. The fat man laughs, noting it is expected from a non-believer, yet vows to influence Kim with the love and mercy of their goddess. He attacks, demanding that Kim kneel before him to receive the chance to meet their deity personally. Kim observes the mana around him and acknowledges their strength, feeling the temptation to yield briefly, yet he resists completely, refusing to submit. With precise timing and controlled power, he strikes the fat man directly in the chin, sending him crashing forcefully to the ground. Kim reflects briefly, recognizing that even the saint cannot harm him due to his divine resistance, and wonders, with a mixture of caution and curiosity, what kind of being this fat man truly is, how his abilities interact with divine forces, and the full extent of the threat he represents. The naked gang retreats, leaving the poison boss to face Kim, insisting he operates on a different front than those perverts. The suited man moves to stop Lily, warning that drinking their poison is suicidal. Kim reassures him, confident as he accepts it, realizing she handed him the strongest picnic variant. The poison burns with the most intense pain, exuding a vile odor. He warns the girl to prepare for a punch if it has no effect on him, while she teases him not to seek an antidote afterward. Kim gulps it down, determined it won't be necessary. A sharp pain courses through his body, dropping him to his knees as blood boils, and she mocks his endurance. He realizes focus is essential since the poison is mixed with special medicine, meaning mere resistance is insufficient. He panics internally, understanding he must endure the damage while healing and controlling the poison with mana. The woman notices him concentrating the poison energy into his arm. In that moment, he gains drug resistance, completing the effect and allowing him to manipulate poison through mana. Once finished, he turns to her, indicating it is now time for her son, gripping and breaking his finger. She collapses, glaring in frustration, questioning if he can act with such ease. Kim blocks her complaints, and the gang departs. The Iron Fist gang erupts in joy, leaping and cheering for Warrior Kim. He surveys the scene, knowing his victory is assured and that the real task begins. He addresses the Iron Fist members, reminding them why he acted for their sake and instructing them to remember something vital. They nod eagerly, promising compliance. He declares that the market protection fee will be half of what the Dagger Gang previously collected. The suited man panics, fearing negligible revenue. Kim glares with lethal intensity, questioning if he dares speak back. The boy immediately retracts, confident the boss will understand. Market owners appear behind him, recognizing Kim as their savior, and he explains that all the effort was for them. They thank him, but he insists it was his duty. Excitement surges within him, as the place has everything he needs, and now he can enjoy discounts, just as they had mentioned. The next day, he went back to the antique shop and was heartily welcomed by the owner, because he was the one who saved their marketplace. Kim chuckles, telling him that he just did what was the right thing to do. The owner tells him there is no need to be humble because those gangsters caused a lot of trouble, explaining that he had to close his shop due to a broken arm sustained in the fights of those gangsters. Kim looks at him, feeling sad, and asks if he got treated for that. The owner mentions he underwent a qigong treatment, which was effective, and without the therapist, he still could not have reopened the shop. Kim looks confused, not knowing such treatment exists here. The owner explains that it does and asks if he wants to be introduced to the practitioner. Kim appreciates it, but says he first has something to buy from this place. The owner welcomingly tells him to look around and that he can take everything here. Kim smirks, noting the abundance of quality goods, and asks if he can see the items stored below. The owner is shocked and asks how he knew about it. Kim grins, thinking that no one should underestimate a no-lifer with 10,000 hours of gameplay. The owner leads him to the unauthorized interview area, explaining he usually shows it only to first-time customers, but makes an exception this time. He opens the door, revealing a collection of magical products, telling Kim he can look around as much as he likes. Kim knows the place is filled with treasures even from the game, but above all, he spots the hornpipe of the ancient god, which has the mana cultivation technique sealed within it, a jackpot item. Securing the top priority item, he collects everything else useful, filling his inventory with rare goods, including 5 colored diamonds, magic glasses, magic gloves, and the hornpipe itself. The shopkeeper is shocked because all the items are rare, and the total bill amounts to 2 billion won. Kim freaks, his jaw dropping open. The shopkeeper chuckles, telling him it is the price for a stranger, but because he is the guardian of the marketplace, he can only charge a reasonable price, so his total will be 500 million. Kim laughs, telling him that he scared him with his joke a lot, thinking that an 80% discount from an NPC for having high flexibility is extremely sweet. Now all he has to do is find the priest-class superhuman who can release the holy seal on this item. And of course, by his remarkable luck, he already got a clear clue on where to find that person, which he considers a stroke of immense fortune. He asks the shopkeeper if he could get the address of the Qigong therapist mentioned earlier. Receiving the address, he reaches the place and knocks on the door, listening carefully with his ear pressed to it, wondering if the person is out for a walk or engaged in some other activity, when suddenly the door swings open and hits him in the face. A boy opens it, asking him what he wants this early in the morning. Kim looks at him in confusion, realizing immediately that this is the person he has been searching for. Kim laughs, telling the boy that it's afternoon, and questions how he can call that early in the morning. The boy responds that it is for him and asks what brings him here. Kim explains that he heard about the treatment, which excites the boy so much that he pulls Kim inside, thinking he is a client, mistakenly assuming he might be one of the gangsters. Inside, Kim looks around as the boy asks if he can lie down so he can check his injuries. Kim glances at a statue, acknowledging that it is certain. The boy notices Kim's shocked expression and insists he lie down on the bed. Kim then takes something out from his back, explaining that he is not here for the treatment. The boy looks confused until Kim pulls out the horn, causing him to freak out. Kim explains that he is here to unseal the item. The boy, bewildered, says he is just a therapist and suggests the item looks like a holy relic, so Kim should visit a temple for that request. Kim disagrees, reasoning that such a place would charge a high price and could confiscate the item, so he offers the boy 100 million won to unseal it, calling him Priest Kim. The boy becomes utterly flabbergasted and confused. Kim realizes that he is the third tutorial character of the game and the priest of a forgotten religion that served a deity who died 3,000 years ago. He is also one of the innocent characters in the game. With so many delinquent people around, it is extremely difficult to find a kind-hearted religious person like him. In other words, Kim recognizes he has many uses for this boy. The boy, freaking out, asks how he solved the mystery of his identity. Kim apologizes, telling him he would like to keep it a secret, adding that even for a boy, it would not be an easy task, but he sighs and agrees to give it a try. Kim knows such patience is expected from a kind-hearted person. The boy examines the magic item, applying some of his own magic, and watches as the tape from the horn comes off, revealing its true state. Though shocked that it works, Kim praises the boy for his skill. Afterwards, Kim releases mana energy through the horn and realizes that the excess mana in his body is being absorbed, producing an incredible effect. He even obtains a new cultivation technique. It feels as if the silence of the Northern European deep sea has entered his body. After about 2 weeks, he will be able to absorb all the mana and reach level 3 superhuman. Kim is amazed by the result, and even the boy is stunned, as this is his first time seeing a warrior-class superhuman use a mana cultivation technique. Kim sits down, noting that this is not a common sight and certainly impressive. The boy asks if he is exhausted, offering him to lie down and rest. Kim lies on the bed, his whole body trembling. He mentions that so much information poured into his mind that he is now tired, telling the boy he will be in his care for a while. The boy, with gleaming eyes, says he paid a lot of money so Kim can rest as much as he likes. Kim realizes he is a kind person, just as he was in the game, and sees that finding a trustworthy person will benefit him in the long run. After a while, as Kim wakes, he notices the boy pouring petrol over a bag of money. Kim looks in confusion, asking what he is doing. The boy takes out a lighter, calling for his god to accept the offering and finally be resurrected. As the boy is about to throw the lighter, Kim grinds his teeth in frustration, completely bewildered by what is going on right now.